Hey there, I'm Cody, and this is my computer store. We're in for a special treat today. I was blessed by a customer who bought a new PC from us with this old PC to take a look at. What's special about it is it's running two AMD HD 7970s in Crossfire. So it's actually got two GPUs. This PC is basically the end result of going all out on a workstation in 2012. Today I have two goals with this beast of a computer with all beautiful Noctua fans. One is to diagnose and fix the issues that the customer complains they're experiencing. And two is to put this beauty to the full test and see just how well this all-out beast from 2012 performs in 2024 with gaming and maybe some other applications. Underneath this absolute beast Noctua NHD cooler, we have a 6-core, 12-thread i7 3960X. Look at that. It's also packing 32 gigabytes of RAM. That's 8 DIMMs. So that's 8 4-gigabyte DIMMs to equal a grand total of 32. That would have been a lot back when this was built. Here's the power supply, fully modular Corsair AX 1200i. Back then, that would have been a total beast. You can see the Corsair branding was different back then. Quality machine, considering it's still going. That being said, this Noctua fan is really ticking a lot. It's not as quiet as it was when it came out, surely. So, what is actually wrong with this system? Well, my first suspicion is because he said that the issue with it was instability, glitchiness, and crashing. So, my first thought is this is running Windows 10 with 12-year-old GPUs in Crossfire. I bet you this is some sort of an issue with driver support for the dual GPUs. So I'm thinking these GPUs are probably causing the issue. I'm going to install updates in the latest drivers and do some tests, see what happens. And I think the actual solution to this will be perhaps swapping out those two GPUs for just a single, more modern card and hopefully get this system up to speed. But before then, I'm going to try getting it working as good as I can, do some tests, and see how this thing performs as is. That's going to be pretty cool. So the latest AMD software update for these cards was released 2022. And I'm also installing all of the Windows feature updates. Hopefully they install successfully.
I downloaded Times file.
So this is not good. We got a frozen computer artifacting after trying to update the graphics drivers. That's not good. Time for a reboot. Okay, so I reset it and it looks like Radeon software's on here. Does that mean the driver install worked? Huh. Kind of funny to see 2022 drivers as up to date, considering the date. So here we are in the graphics settings, and look, AMD Crossfire is enabled. I think that means it's time to put the beast to the test. It's the moment of truth. Time Spy on Crossfire. Will it crash? Let's see. This is not a good start. Okay, so breaking news. Time Spy appears to be working this time. I think the first time it didn't work because the screensaver came on. It's set to come on after 1 minute. So I disabled that. On this thing, it took more than a minute for the benchmark to load. So with any luck, now that the screensaver is disabled, we'll get through the loading screen and see how this puppy performs. Ladies and gentlemen, look at this. 3D Mark Time Spy running on the on the Crossfire dual wield HD 7970s. There they go. Look at that. Glorious. 2012 GPUs running in Crossfire in 2024. Beautiful. It's actually looking quite smooth. I mean, it's not super smooth, definitely not 60 FPS, but I actually expect it to be a lot choppier. The question is, how much better is this going to perform versus just one card? I'm curious if the Crossfire is actually making a difference here. It would be pretty cool actually too, once I get the TimeSpy score, to see how maybe your system compares to this. So if you happen to have the TimeSpy benchmark, run it on your PC and see how your PC performs against this one. So here's the TimeSpy score, 4,548. It actually passed the stress test. I can't believe it was stable. I'm going to try it now with Crossfire disabled and see how much of a difference having the two GPUs made. Okay, Crossfire disabled. Okay, and here it is with the Crossfire disabled, and it's very stuttery. It was making a huge difference having the Crossfire enabled. And here it is, folks. 2,484 is the score without Crossfire. So it really did make a huge difference. Next up, out of curiosity, I want to try an actual game benchmark, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. It's one of the most modern games that still supports Crossfire, even though even that game's pretty old by now. It's the best that we can do to test. Okay, it's the next day. Tomb Raider's installed, and we're turning the Crossfire back on. Here's Tomb Raider running on high preset 1080p Crossfire. Here's the results. Average FPS 71. Now let's try it without Crossfire. Here it is running on just one card. Pretty amazing that the performance really does near double when using the two cards. I really wish dual GPUs were still a thing. How cool would it be if you had, say, for example, an RTX 3060, and instead of upgrading to like a 4070 or whatnot, you find used another RTX 3060 for $250 used, pop it into your system, and then near double your performance in modern games. It would be amazing. Now, I know it takes work to implement such technologies as SLI and Crossfire, but something tells me these companies would rather you buy the 4070 than just buy another used 3060. And that's why these have gone the way of the dodo. And here's the results without Crossfire. Only 39 average FPS. Next, we're going to run Passmark. Now, you can't really trust this score when comparing one system to another for real-world performance, but it runs a little test on all aspects of the system, not just the GPUs. And allegedly it supports Crossfire. So let's run Passmark, see how it goes. And this is a free one you can download and run quick on your computer if you want to compare your computer to this beast. So here is the Passmark score without Crossfire, specifically a 3D graphics mark of 5,951. And here's the results with Crossfire. So we definitely didn't double our performance, but there was a significant increase in the 3D score. So here we are loading into Deus Ex Mankind Divided. I remember this game having great graphics. It's sponsored by AMD. It's on the splash screen when you load in, so it should be optimized for Crossfire, if any game. I think it still looks good today. I'm going to be playing at 1080p, high settings, and seeing what sort of performance we get with Crossfire and then without. Okay, so here we are. Benchmarking Deus Ex Mankind Divided, and we're getting over 60 FPS with the Crossfire. It looks amazing. It's actually really hard to believe this is running on hardware from 2012. It honestly looks just as good as Cyberpunk and all the other modern titles I played. I know those are more demanding, but man, these graphics are really good. Okay, here we are. 1440p Crossfire test. Now, this may have extra limitations because you can't utilize the VRAM of both cards, so it's still running on just 3 gigabytes of VRAM, so the higher resolution could make it struggle a little bit more. But man, this game looks amazing. I can't believe this is running on 2012 hardware. I'm curious to see how the Crossfire stacks up to just a single GPU. Okay, 1080p running on a single GPU, no Crossfire. It's still pretty smooth, but not quite as smooth. I can tell there's a difference. We're gonna see what the measurements say. Okay, final test, 1440p single GPU. It's most definitely not as smooth. It looks and feels like it's maybe half the FPS as it was with Crossfire. So we can see the 1080p Crossfire was 46% faster than the 1080p non-Crossfire for average FPS, and the 1440p was actually 70% faster on the Crossfire than it was the 1440p without the Crossfire. That's a pretty big difference right there. So what can we conclude about this Crossfire beast in 2024? Well, it honestly makes me sad that Crossfire is not still supported. It's something that could very much add value. If you can capture 70% the gaming performance of a second card in your games and applications, then it really would be cost effective and perhaps reduce waste to just buy a duplicate of your existing card versus upgrading to a whole new card. Considering a high-end gaming graphics card these days costs $1,000, to think you could capture 70% the performance of a GPU that may cost a quarter as much of a high-end gaming graphics card outright upgrade, I'm just very saddened by the fact that this doesn't still exist. Not to mention, it's just so cool having two GPUs in your system like this. So you can't utilize Crossfire for gaming anymore. SLI is also not supported, so NVIDIA cards are no better. It was really cool just experimenting to see the kind of performance you could get out of this, though, not too long in the past. Now, as far as repairing this computer, after updating the drivers and getting the latest available drivers for this thing and putting it through all these tests, the system's been running rock solid. So in terms of actually repairing this thing, I'm going to do a few more tests, but I'm going to think that this thing is perfectly working. It just needed a little software tune-up. Anyways, it's cool to see that this beast still works as well as it does 12 years later. And it's just a damn shame it's not fully utilized, because I would love to see how this thing would run games like Cyberpunk, GTA 6 when it comes out, utilizing both of those old GPUs to see if buying a beast over a decade in the past could allow you to game a decade in the future if it could be fully utilized. Anyways, I hope you had fun doing this little experiment with this beast PC with me. And thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.